Near mint condition, the home of collected editions.
That cover's so awesome.
Absolute format is the best way to own this store. Time to empty those wallets and fill those shelves.
Happy Friday, all you minties! This is Dom of X, Comic Releases Assistant Editor, and today I am doing an overview of the All-Star Batman by Scott Snyder Deluxe Edition hardcover, published by DC Comics. Let's go ahead and dive right in. Welcome to Near Mint Condition, a channel where you can be part of a positive and honest community. I'd like to thank our sponsor, Cheap Graphic Novels, for allowing me to do an overview of this specific hardcover. We've got the deluxe edition of All-Star Batman by Scott Snyder right here. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at the book at hand. So this is All-Star Batman by Scott Snyder, the deluxe edition. Here's a look at the spine. And here is a look at the back of the book, Tales of the Dark Knight, the dust jacket there, talking about a quick synopsis, and of course, this piece by John Romita Jr. on the back with Batman in the Rebirth suit. Here's the front again for all those wondering. Let's go ahead and take a look under the dust jacket. Here are the dust flaps. There you have specific outlets talking about the book and a piece by Jock. I believe this is issue 10's cover of All-Star Batman. So let's go ahead and take a quick glance at the book at hand. This is the front, another wonderful piece by Jock. And it has the same spine as the dust jackets, so these are pretty identical, of course, with the red and the DC logo. Here's a look at the back with So there you have it. That is a look at the book. And if you guys are wondering, this is retailing for $49.99 at 576 pages. So this is not your average size deluxe edition. This is a little bit bigger. And of course, with that, you are going to get a lot more content in the book. This book contains issues 1 through 14, which is the entirety of All-Star Batman. Let's go ahead and take a dive in. Alright folks, let's go ahead and take a look at the inside of this book and also the binding. It is glued binding, the weird the eye glue formation that you typically see on DC standard hardcovers. It is going to be the same in as much in for that. Here is a look at the inside flap of the front and back covers, which is a cover by Mr. Jock himself for issue 10 of All-Star Batman by Scott Snyder. It's the title page. Here is the table of contents. Of course, he is the main person who writes this book, but Rafael Albuquerque and Rafael Scavone are writers as well for the backup issues that are contained in this book. Of course, a laundry list of top shelf talent for both interiors and finishes. John Romita Jr., Jock, Tula Lote, Francesco Francavilla, Rafael Albuquerque, Declan Shalvey, and of course Dean White and Jordi Belair in colors. Those two have been on so many high-profile books and have colored so many high-profile books that it is absolutely insane the amazing talent that Snyder and DC were able to push out in this 14-issue series. So the reason for this book being out was people just did not know what was going to happen with Scott Snyder after his New 52 run had ended. He passed over the baton to Tom King during Rebirth, and with the Rebirth one-shot, it was pretty much solidified that King was going to be taking over for that book, but people also didn't know where Scott Snyder was going to go. Scott was going to maybe go to Marvel, maybe he was going to continue some of his independent work, but he decided to stay at DC on an exclusive contract. That exclusive contract led him to do this book, which he says that it was a pleasure to do it. It would have been cool to get an introduction from Scott here, but we don't have any of that in the front. But what this book and its opportunity that it gives to readers is seeing Scott Snyder handling Gotham's rogues gallery outside of the Joker and outside of the Court of Owls, which is, of course, Scott Snyder's main creation. I think the reason to why a lot of people know him on Batman. He was really the guy to solidify the Court of Owls as a mainstay for the Bat mythos. In the first story arc, we are introduced to Two-Face and him also battling the Penguin and a host of other villains of Gotham. We are introduced to KG Beast as well, who calls himself the Beast in this specific arc of the first. Killer Moth, I personally love Killer Moth. He's, I think, one of the most underrated Batman villains out there. And the same goes for the rest of the cast. You have Poison Ivy, you have Ra's al Ghul, you have Mr. Freeze, you have the Mad Hatter. These are characters that Snyder just didn't get an opportunity to touch upon in his regular Batman run because he didn't have the opportunity and time to use those. The only Two-Face story that I can recall that was main in the New 52 was the 5th arc, I want to say, of Peter J. Tomasi and Patrick Gleason's Batman and Robin run. And even then, we just did not get much Two-Face, but Snyder brings him full front and center in the first arc of this book. And the one thing that I absolutely appreciate about this specific book, and honestly why on a reread I had much more of appreciation from it, is that Snyder really just tries to go all out with this book, no pun intended. And the reason to why I say that is because this Batman reads a lot more like a Dark Knight Returns type of Batman. This is something more akin to an unhinged, an all-out, energetic, just full-on action type of Bats. He takes no dices. He's threatening villains on a much more scalar level than he usually does in his regular books. He's a lot more violent. The go-tos on the punches are just so surreal in this. And it's always elevated by the people who are drawing the book. One thing I can say is that John Romita Jr., I think, is one of the more underrated Batman artists of the last 10 years. I really liked his art on the City of Bane story arc on King's Batman. And I believe, especially with the Dean White colors, because man, I just cannot believe how freaking gorgeous this book looks at times. It's a wonderful compliment to Scott Snyder's storytelling and also the high octane action that you get from the front and back of this book. One thing that I can also say too is that Snyder gets an opportunity as well to rewrite some of the stories and looks at the characters' relationships in places that we haven't seen before. We see this in the first arc with Two-Face, the relationship that Harvey Dent and Bruce Wayne have as regular kids, and getting to see how the evolution of that shifted, and also the dichotomy between his split personality between, of course, regular Harvey Dent and the Two-Face that we've all come to hate. You get a sort of sense of what Snyder was trying to do, and the fact that, again, it's his opportunity now to write these villains in ways that we hadn't seen before. And having a book like All-Star Batman gave Snyder the free form to do whatever he wanted. And of course, when you get complimented by the art in the title with, again, all of those crazy artists like I mentioned earlier, it's a great tone and a great contrast to what you would expect from his regular Batman run. And I think one thing that I'm also confident in saying that I think this book is a little bit overhated and underrated, if that makes sense. I think part of the flack that All-Star Batman gets is that it wasn't regular Batman. It wasn't the Batman that we were used to seeing in Scott Snyder's run. And when you push that up against the first 3 arcs of his Batman run on top of Zero Year, you're going to get a different result. And I don't think people were expecting that different result when they came into this book. But if you're looking for a Batman who, again, is a lot more unhinged, a lot more unpredictable, a lot more action-paced and violent, this is the book that you're going to get. And honestly, I can also say that with the second arc, Ends of the Earth really made me appreciate this book for what it was. A lot of it is prose-based. It's Snyder telling a story while he's fighting and trying to convince different villains to stake out of it. Talking about ecology. Talking about what would actually happen if Batman were to face some of these problems today. It's a Batman that we don't really get to see as much. Obviously, if you have characters like Mr. Freeze and Poison Ivy, I'm actually more so surprised that we don't get a lot more of those conversations, but we do in this book. Some of the prose and the poetry in this specific title ends up hitting a lot better than when I first read it. And also, if you look at it from the standpoint of I'm not reading a regular Batman title, I'm reading a take on a character that's supposed to be out of the blue, I think you folks will appreciate this for what it is and what Snyder is trying to do. And there's no stoppage of the amazing art and the compliments in this book that I have to give to not only them, but also the letterist Steve Wands. Steve Wands, with the freedom and flexibility that he's given because of the crazy script and also the different amounts of storytelling that is in this book. There is the iconic American flag cover by Jock. I cannot say it enough that this is an artistic masterpiece from everyone involved. No matter what way you look at it, this is really Scott just saying, man, I just want to write a Batman story that isn't restrained by anything, something that I can hold to by myself. And that's what this is. And I wouldn't be surprised if we saw some of those elements, especially the first ally, in his future absolute Batman run. I doubt that he won't use any of these elements that we've seen to be used as a platform for his books in the future. So I think if you're trying to find a sneak peek as to what is Scott Snyder going to do with the alternate universe parallel Batman, this is, I think, a good indicator of what he's going to bring for that book as well. And also, as we look further in the title, in the back, after the first ally, we do have a couple of backup stories that were in issues 10 through 14, I should say, of the book. This is the part with Declan Shalvey and also the Signal, who Duke Thomas has a major role in this book, spinning out from the We Are Robin series. This is really the continuation of that series, and honestly, I am really surprised that they did not toss Batman and the Signal in this book as well, because that specific series also comes out from All-Star Batman. We get to see in these pages, and obviously the first arc with Two-Face, what Duke Thomas is as a character, what Duke Thomas does, what his role is next to Batman, and how he operates differently from the rest of Batman's former proteges, including Tim Drake and Dick Grayson. You get to see a sense of how he operates as a superhero, how his personality is, and what he does specifically in difference to all of them. And again, I'm really disappointed that they didn't toss that 3-issue series in there, because I thought if they had any place to put that series, it would be in this, because everything from The Cursed Wheel, My Own Worst Enemy, that follows directly after that specific book. The same, I would say, goes for, well, every single one of these stories is pretty interesting in their own right. I will also add that this book does contain the Raphael Albuquerque backups. as you can see here in the back of the book, called Killers in Law. Sebastian Fiumara is the one who supplies the art. And those two also get to do their own quote-unquote unhinged stories of the Batman. And I think it really is a wonderful collection to give to a Batman person who might not be expecting the regular Batman that we've all come to know and love. This is something more of a Dark Knight's Return version, a version where we are not used to seeing a sort of sympathetic Bruce, because he just really does go all out in this title. Let's go ahead and look at the back and the extra material that they've put in this specific title. We have the director's cut, which is, if you guys want to see John Romita Jr. uncolored. Personally, I love seeing the Dean White colors on the art, but what I love about director's cuts is that you get to see a different part of the story, and also it's Danny Miki and John Romita. I mean, it's a duo that is pretty hard to beat. We have a script from a select issue 1. And then, of course, we have all of the variant covers. So let's go ahead and take a gander at those as well. Here we got John Romita, Dean White, Danny Miki. Of course, the cover by Jock, which is also the book cover. There's Declan Shalvey and Jordi Belair. Ben Oliver, Tyler Kirkham, Ben Caldwell, Neil Adams, and Brian Miller of Hi-Fi. Barry Kitson, man. Whatever happened to Barry Kitson, man? I really like that guy's art. Gilliam March, Jim Lee, of course, Lee Bermejo, Michael Turner, rest in peace. And then the rest of those variant covers. Again, the amount of talent in this book is pretty staggering, and it's pretty cool to see that there were no stoppages in this work. I have this cover somewhere. I'm not sure where it is, but I have that cover somewhere. Sheppy Cameron Coley, who draws one of the issues of Ends of the Earth. And then we obviously got to see him in Joker Year 1 most recently. Sebastian Fiumara. And I won't spoil the rest, but we also do have layouts from select artists, which are in this book. And that, as they say, is that. Now, if you're looking to buy this specific hardcover, you can check out our sponsors.
BD Cosmos, the Canadian leader in graphic novels. They have a physical storefront in Montreal, Quebec, and their website, bdcosmos.com, offers 25% off your order of over $99 or more, and free shipping everywhere in Canada for every order of $200 or more.
Their shipping care is exceptional. Your books will stay cozy through the rough Canadian weather and arrive to you in near mint condition.
After checkout, let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way, and you'll be added to the monthly $25 gift card raffle. Entries are valid for new and returning customers.
Don't be afraid to call or email them. Ask them questions. Their staff is always happy to help guide you towards the right purchase. Visit their website, bdcosmos.com, for more. BD Cosmos, with rewards and raffles taking care of customers in Canada. Eh?
CheapGraphicNovels.com, your online home for graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They have excellent shipping and prompt and helpful service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And don't forget that CGN also takes pre-orders. That way you don't miss out on the hottest releases. And they are currently running a special promotion for you Minties. If you're a first-time customer, after receiving your order confirmation email, reply back to that email and let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way. They will then apply a free shipping promotional credit to your next order in the US. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more.
And that's going to be it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you haven't yet, please go ahead and like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and click on that notification bell if you're brand new so you get all the updates from Omar, me, and the rest of the gang. Once again, I am Dom of X. You be you, take care, and stay fresh, Minties, wherever you are.